Testing, testing, one, two, three. Hope everybody hears me. Testing. Okay, here we go. For those who don't know, I have started learning the art of music production. I'm a house underground DJ, so that's where my focus is lie. So as I started my journey, I noticed that the things that I needed to start production, I had to grab. And I noticed that there were things that was out there that was a little more expensive, and then there was things that was out there that was not so expensive. And so I thought of, okay, then let me lay this on to DJs who wants to become producers or producers that's starting out, and give them, I won't say a roadmap, just a little blueprint on what you can and what you should have as far as starting your production without breaking the bank, because there's a lot of things that's out there that you think you may need, but oftentimes you may not. So we're going to touch on that tonight. So without further ado, let's get to it. Good evening, everyone. This is House That Speaks, coming to you live from the Chi-Town, Chicago. Let me drink this water right quick. Got a little parched there. Okay. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm coming out with another Monday rant and discussion. And today, as I mentioned on the little intro, we're going to take a little dive on setting up your home production studio without breaking the bank. Now, yes, somewhere down the road, there are things you are going to need in order to steer your production along. But, for those who may think that, oh my goodness, I might have to save a lot of money to start my production journey, you do not. It it's not as expensive as you may think it will be. Trust me, you are going to spend some coin on it. Don't get me wrong on that. But we're going to touch base on a few items. I'm not going to get into everything that I did my research. I'm going to just focus on the key points of what you actually will need in order to start your production journey. So, without further ado, let's get to the presentation, shall we? Okay, now, setting up a home budget production studio. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to need, but like I said, there's going to be things that you don't need at this juncture. So we're just going to focus on the necessities, what is actually needed for your production studio. And trust me, I was surprised about the things that I have gathered myself. And then I also was surprised on the things that I already have, so I didn't have to spend an extra amount of money, you know, in the beginning, because you definitely want to make sure you maximize your time and your effort in production and creating music and making tracks, but you don't want to spend time or trying to get the latest, greatest gear. Just focus on the things that you have, what works for you, and then go from there. So let's go to the first slide. Okay, so setting up a home budget production studio, it's it's like I said, it's not as expensive as years ago. Years ago, there was no such thing as a home studio, and if there was, it's mainly for pro- producers who's been in the game for a very long time. So they have the um, the resources and the finances to create a lavish home studio. But for those who are beginning and even those who just want to do their projects, strictly at home or don't have the room or the necessary area to create a studio, from the jump, you may want to ease that back a moment, but you still can focus on the things that you do need. Okay. Now now when you're trying to do your production, you know it's practical. It can be cost efficient. You can have a setup that's still going to give you the necessary workflow needed, but you don't have to worry about breaking your bank. You can start out slow, and then over time, as you progress, especially when your tracks start selling, you're getting noticed and things of that nature, then you can progress to upgrading your studio as needed. So I want to put that out there. Don't try to spend or get everything all at once. You know, start slow. It's just like when you're trying to DJ. Don't get the latest and greatest DJ equipment off the bat. I started with a controller that only cost me $150. And then I progressed as the years come on and started upgrading as my funds was allowing me to do so. That's what I'm trying to relay to my fellow, DJs who's trying to be producers, and also, my young producers out there. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, now there is a must have, and I mean you must have these. And one of the things you must have is a laptop or a desktop. You have to have it. You know, you're not going to be able to even work with a doll or, create any kind of production workflow without the proper PC or Mac. And those are the things I'm saying. It doesn't matter which you which machine you use. If you decide to use a PC, if you decide to use a Mac, what you want to make certain that you have the correct specs on either Mac or either PC. Okay, make sure that the CPU is up to par. Um, Make sure that you have enough RAM, because RAM means random access memory. Make you The key here. Make sure you have enough storage on there. Now, when I did the research, it says the storage could be 520. I'm going to say make sure your storage is at least 1 terabyte. Why I say 1 terabyte? If you have 1 terabyte storage and 1 terabyte of SSD, including in your PC or Mac, that's more than enough storage needed to do all your workflow. And I also will suggest you to get an an external hard drive as well. And make sure that external hard drive is two, you know, 2 terabytes or more. Why? Extra storage. And also backup. You're going to need some kind of backup, you know. Now, just like I said, as long as your PC or Mac have those specs, you'll be good to go. And it doesn't matter if you use a laptop or a desktop. Now, I have a desktop, but of course, I went all out and got for a forever desktop. And the reason why I did that because I knew eventually I was going to be doing production. And since I have the necessary funds to do that, I decided to go ahead and just get that out of the way. But that doesn't mean you need to do that. Make sure if you don't have the funds to get a a high-end laptop and desktop, don't do it. Get a mid-range or low-end. Just make sure you have the proper specs in that desktop and laptop. What I always suggest DJs and producers is just make certain that whatever DAW or all the things that you're going to be using for your music production can hold the that will have the necessary storage that's needed to do your workflow. Okay? I hope everybody got that. So that's definitely a must-have. A PC, a laptop, desktop, doesn't matter if it's PC or Mac, that is a must-have tool. Okay, next slide. Okay, audio interface. This now, what I'm going to say is that from starting out, it's not severely needed. The only time I would say that an autoface is needed if you have a laptop. If you have a desktop, and especially if it's a strong desktop that has a good sound card in the desktop, and the mic is working well, and you have your speakers alongside with everything, and even if everything's hooked up towards your controller, a auto interface will not be necessary at this moment. But if you have a a laptop, I will strongly advise you getting a auto interface. And the auto interfaces is not super expensive, I mean, as you can see, the Foresight Scarlett 2i2, I have that, and that's hooked up to my laptop is where I use for my broadcasting and for my live streaming. So I do have an interface for that. I just haven't have the interface to use for my DAW, but I do have a microphone that I can use for that. But at this particular beginning junction, I don't see the need for a auto interface because I have a high-powered desktop. But for those who do not, I will suggest you do get a auto interface, and you can get a Behringer, you can get Focusrite. There's a lot of you can get an M audio. There's a good number of auto interfaces that's out there. Just get the one. Just look at the specs. Get the one that you that's right for your needs and grab it. So that's what I'm gonna say about auto interface. Okay, next one. Okay, monitoring. That means your studio monitor, speakers. That's another thing that's not a necessary must have. It's good to have it, but it's not necessary to have it. I will say that if you have a desktop or a laptop, yes, I will suggest you definitely get a studio monitor. But if you just have a small studio, you can just use your headphones for that, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. You can get all. I mean, monitors today is not that um, expensive. As a matter of fact, I got a PreSonus that I used to use for my live streaming and for my former controller. And then when I knew I was going to be doing production, and I decided to just get me a better monitor, especially for the all-in-one system that I currently have. I use the PreSonus now for the TV monitor for my TV. But PreSonus is to me is a great studio monitor to use. I mean, I've had it for at least about maybe 3 years now, and I never had any issues with it. You can get your JBLs, you can get your Yamahas, you can the KRKs, you can get those too, but you can also get Mackies as well. I have Mackie studio monitors, and I love them. I love my Mackie. I have no qualms with it. It great. It does. It has great sound. Sound quality is tremendous. It's a good monitor. So there are a lot of different monitors out there that you know that you can use for your journey, and it's not crazy expensive. You don't want to try to spend no more than 450 for a pair of monitors. And always when you decide to buy a monitor, make sure you're not getting it. Make sure it's not a separate cost. Make sure that you're paying for the actual pair. That's two monitors. Make sure you're paying for that. So that's the way I look at it. Now, to place the monitor, I know it says ear level tweeters from the ear lateral triangle of your head, 6 to 12 inches from back wall, unless front ported. Now, I believe in that one. Now, it depends on where you have your studio and your desk set up. I won't say that's necessary. And the reason why I said that is because if you have headphones, you can always hook your headphones towards your monitor. And that will be the course to really listen to everything that you listen to as far as music is concerned. And we're gonna get to that in a quick second. So let's go to the next slide, please. Now, this is another must-have. You gotta have headphones. Even if you don't, even if you don't have the studio monitors, you know, that's not really necessary. The headphones are definitely necessary. That's another must have. Like I said, laptop, desktop, must have. Headphones, must have. Okay? Because you're going to need them. Now, there's a lot of different headphones out there. I would suggest, don't spend no more than $100 for headphones to start out with. As you grow into your production If you want to upgrade your headphones, you can do that. Now I have Auto Technica, and I used to use those for my DJing. But then I went and purchased headphones when I do my live streaming here, and I also purchased headphones when I travel. So now my Auto Technica is used for my production. That's, and besides, let me make this a caveat. If you're a DJ or producer, you should have more than one set of headphones at all times. It it's just it just makes sense to do that because you want to have one, especially if you're a DJ like myself who plays either live on Twitch, or I play outside as far as gigs concerned. I have separate headphones for those. You know, Now the ones I'm wearing now is my AI. This is my wireless headphones. I only use those to play here. I don't even take these outside. I have a pair of Pioneers that I have in my separate bag. I use that to play outside. And now, since I got my Auto Technica, I can use that for my production to hook it up to my speakers here. So I can use that. And you can also, when you get an auto interface, you can also hook your headphones towards your auto interface. You can do that as well. Okay. Now, I almost bought another pair of headphones because the ear area in my auto technicas was wearing out. Little did I know, I can replace those ear cuffs. So when I was able to do that, that's what I did. I went and purchased a set of ear cuffs. I put them in, and there I go. It's as though I have brand new headphones. So that's another cost efficiency that will help you along the way. If you get headphones, make sure you can replace at least the cuffs, the cuffling on the headphones. That will save you a lot of money, and definitely will save you of purchasing headphones all the time. Especially when you're starting out. So that's a little tip. Okay, next one. Now, the DAW. DAW stands for Digital Audio Workflow. Now, I actually explained about um, DAW on a previous Monday rant and discussion. So if you want to check that out, you can go to my playlist under Monday rant and discussion, and you can check out that particular segment when I actually explains about the different DAWs that's out there. Now, when it comes to a DAW, this is going to be the one thing that you are going to need to spend a little money on. Now, yes, there are free DAWs out there. I suggest don't get them. I suggest if you're going to spend the certain amount of money for anything regarding studios concerned, if you don't have a laptop, desktop, that's the money you spend for that. If you don't have headphones, that's the money you spend for that. DAW, that's the other third factor you really going to need to spend money on. And I'm not saying a lot. It depends on the type of DAW that you get that you're going to use. Now, I use Ableton Live. Now, when I started with the Ableton Live Intro, and that was like $170 something. But I knew that wasn't going to be efficient enough for what I want to do as production concerned. So when I was able to save enough money to upgrade it to the standard, I did just that. And that was that. Since I was able to buy the intro, the standard knocked out a good chunk amount. So I was only spend about maybe I said about 250 something like that, and now I have the Ableton Live 12 standard. But like I said, there's other different DAWs out there. There's the FL Studio. There's the Logic Pro. Now Logic Pro, remember you can only use Mac computers and laptops for Logic Pro only. Logic Pro, you cannot use PC. You got Studio One, so there are different DAWs that's out there, but you're going to need to get a DAW. And I'm gonna repeat this again. Don't get the ones for free. I know they say that yeah, you can get free DAWs and stuff like that, test it out and stuff like that. No. Get a DAW and stick with that. Don't try to get a DAW and you say, I don't like it, I'm going to switch it to another DAW. I don't like it, I'm switching to another DAW. You're defeating the purpose of doing that. Choose one DAW that's going to assist you in your production workflow and stick to that DAW. Next slide. Now the plugins. Now these, I would suggest get plugins for free because you really don't want to be spending too much money on plugins. But if you do, I would say two plugins that I would not fault you on if you want to spend the money. Yeah, I would say, well, three. Um, Splice, that plugin, yeah, definitely, get that. The output, yeah, you definitely want to get that plug-in as well. But but plugins when it comes to progression, reverb, limiter, and sync, yeah, synth. Make sure you get free. Make sure you download free ones. Don't spend the money on the expensive ones. Not starting out. You want, like I said, we're trying to reserve as much money as possible. Now as you progress, yes, if you want to upgrade each of those plugins for those particular things that I mentioned, feel free and do so. But to start out, make sure the essential plugins, make sure you download them, make sure they're free downloads. If they're not free downloads, I wouldn't get them at this time. Okay, and depending on what DAW you have, you probably won't need these plugins, because most of the DAWs have all these features, included. So that'll be another thing that you can hold off until, you progress. And if you decide that you want to go ahead and get a extra plug-in, then again make sure you download a free one. That will save you a good amount of money. And don't get too many plugins either. Get the ones that is needed and stick with those until you're ready to upgrade those particular ones. Okay, cool. Next slide. Okay, minis and DJ integration. Now, a mini is not necessarily needed, and I should have thought about that when I purchased my mini, because you can use your DAW and you can use the keyboards as the music, as the keys to the like a piano, the music row. You can use your keyboards. I mean your keyboards on your your typewriters. I mean on your computers for that. So you really don't need a mini, but it's good to have one because as you progress and when you start creating your own style, then you will need a mini. And minis are not expensive. I mean, the one I have is It's an M audio, and I don't think I spend no more. I think I spent only like $99 for mine, for, you know. So, Akai right now it's like the top mini that everybody swears by, you know. And Novation is the other one. So those two that I know for certain are the top dogs when it comes to minis. And they still come in small and compact, so you still will be able to take them wherever you want to go, and you still won't have to worry about spending too much money on them. So that's all I'm going to say about mini. Like I said, the mini is optional. It's not needed. It's optional, but you can get it if you want it. But just make sure you don't spend too much money on them. Okay? Next. Now, we're going to break everything down as far as things that you're going to need to start your home studio. Okay, you know, like I said, first top is is the computer. If you have a desktop, laptop, you don't have to purchase another one. Just make sure if it doesn't have the necessary specs, make sure you upgrade that. If you need to get a desktop, a laptop, I would suggest getting a laptop because laptops is it's less expensive than getting to, of that than getting a desktop. Okay, auto interface, not needed right off the bat, but you're looking at $100 to $200. Like I said, I have one that I use for my live stream, and I love it. I love my auto face. It's perfect. But I haven't thought about getting one for my music production as yet because my desktop I use for extra stuff, you know, along with you know production. So I won't need a auto interface right now. Studio monitors, like I said, 3 to 450. Don't spend no more than 450. And there's a lot of good monitors that's out there. So make sure you do your research on those. Headphones, don't spend no more than $100 off the bat. Please don't. And my suggestion is Auto Technica. And the reason why I said Auto Technica because I've been using Auto Technica. Mine I had for a long time, and I only spent $99 for, and it has been it has worked very very well for me. I have traveled a lot with that Auto Technica headphones and has not let me down. Not let me down. Okay, DAW, yeah, you're going to, spend the money on the DAW. Like I said, don't get a free one. Choose a DAW choose one of the top DAWs that's out there, and choose that one and leave and stay with that one. Okay, mini controllers. Minis are not necessary because most DAWs you can learn your music and stuff like that by using the DAW, so you won't be needing a mini. But if you want to, if you are musically inclined and you want to work on your keys and stuff like that, if you work, if you are like that, please by all means get a mini. Just don't spend no more than $100 because minis are not expensive. Okay, now I'm not going through the treatments and tables and all that other stuff because, that's a given. I will post that information out on the description box below. That's why I'm not even going to discuss that here. I just wanted to discuss the key points needed to start your music production at home. Okay, so your, the amount you should be spending is around 700 to 1200 range, but that won't be necessary if you already have a desktop and laptop. If you have that, then that cost will cut in half. You probably won't be spending no more than maybe $500 to get everything else. Like I said, if you do have a desktop laptop, make sure it's up to the specs, and if it's not, make sure you can upgrade it to get to those specs. Okay, next one. Okay, now here's my advice to all our my DJs who wants to be producers, and also those new producers that's coming up and things of that nature. Okay, so you know, don't chase gear. What that means is find a gear that's going to be right for you and stick to that gear and let that gear work for you because you want to finish your tracks. That's the goal. Start and finish your tracks. Don't waste time chasing different types of gear or you're not going to finish. You don't have to get the latest and greatest and the best and the brightest right off the bat. Like I said, upgrade when necessary. Okay. Reference your mixes against pro house tracks. But if you're also doing hip hop or any other genre of music, that lies with that too. That saying lies with that as well. You know, you know, check out what you have created versus the pros out there of your particular genre and see where you are. See your measuring stick. If you're fall off, then you know what you need to do to get to that level. If you're getting close to that level, make sure you get above that level. So always go back to the pros. I mean, since I DJ, I listen to every track that I play more careful now than I have ever, because now I'm listening to different things. I'm listening to the intros. I'm listen to the bass. I'm listening to the drops. I'm listening to the outros. I'm listening to how the whole track is formatted. So I know that when I get my production, I need to be right where they are. That's why I'm playing their music. They're at that level. I want to be at that level when there's a DJ out there that's going to be playing my music. That's the mindset, okay? And your workflows matters more than your specs. That means make sure you stick to whatever specs you have, whatever DAW that you choose, whatever auto interface that you choose, whatever monitors you choose, whatever your choice is, stick to that and focus on the workflow. And I'm also going to add one more thing. Learn your DAW. Don't just get into the DAW and and start putting try to put a track together and you don't know the ins and outs of the DAW. And I promise you, there are plethora of tutorials out there on YouTube that will teach you step by step by step the fundamentals of using whatever DAW that you chose. I did that when with Ableton, and now I have an understanding of where of how it works. So now I'm able to proceed with really creating tracks that I want to create. Okay, I hope that helps you guys as far as starting out your production studio. Like I said, make sure you get the most out of everything that you're going to gather. Make sure it works for you. Make sure you're not spending a ton of money. You don't have to get the new shiny toy right off the bat. But make sure you get the things that that's going to be extremely efficient, and make sure your must-haves is covered. Um, Desktop, laptop, must have. Make sure it has the correct specs. DAW, must have. Do not go with the free DAWs. Make sure you get the top DAWs that's out there, and work with that. Headphones. Don't be getting $200-300 headphones. There are some great headphones out there that's less than $100. I'm a witness to that. I know what I'm talking about. What else? Those are pretty much the must have. And also, make sure you have plenty of storage, even on your desktop, laptop, but also make sure you get an external hard drive for extra added storage. You're going to need it. I promise you that. So that's going to be it, everyone. I appreciate everybody listening in. I appreciate everybody who view this and checking this out. Um, like I said, the rest of the information will be in the description box below. If you have any questions, please make sure you leave it in the comments. If you have any concerns, anything that you want to add, please. This is what we do. We're trying to help out us DJs, producers to get to the level they want to go as far as their production and their workflow is concerned. This is House Head Speaks, coming to you live from the Chi-Town, Chicago, wishing everyone peace and love.